Welcome to Work Love Wednesday. Samm Smeltzer here for Work Love Wednesday. It is time for Work Love Wednesday. Hi there, everyone. Welcome to Work Love Wednesday. Today I'm going to talk about protecting your energy, your personal energy. And so let me just kind of give a little bit of a background as to where this would come into play as far as relevancy as to why I'm very passionate about talking about it. And I was actually reminded about this literally last night. So last night I was watching some Instagram videos, which are really short in the Instagram stories. If you're familiar with Instagram, I'm watching that. And in Instagram, they the videos are really, really short. So you get little kind of snippets. But I was watching actually the videos by Neen James, who is a public speaker and author out there. She's fantastic. This little tiny Australian who loves shoes, and she's phenomenal. But she was sharing how she just finished doing her speaking engagements, and she had done 15 in October alone. And that was closing out kind of her speaking work for the year. So that was going to be about the end of it for her. But it was just, it hit me, this whole idea of doing 15 speaking engagements in a month. I did 6 over a 3-week period, and I was personally extremely, very, very, very drained. So much so that I actually went to some energy kind of practitioners to find out if they could help me and what was happening with my energy in that kind of space. And so I bring that up because I think that's something that happens to us more than we realize, especially because in my scenario, I was talking about doing speaking engagements, so standing in front of large groups of people, but we interact with people every single day, and we forget that energy is all around us. So growing up, I've been a big believer, thanks to my mother, that energy is in everything. Energy is in people, which they've done actual scientific studies where you can actually measure our energy fields almost like a foot away from our chest. So anytime we're interacting with individuals, we're feeling those energies. And so we have to be mindful about how those can impact us and what that turns into. So what happens when somebody is kind of in our energy or can attach their energy to ours? We can feel very drained or weak or tired. And even in the busiest seasons of life, this is when we start feeling like we're sick, we're just not ourselves. And maybe it's that cold that never kind of goes away. Our immune system will actually be down. And that can be because of other energies being attached to you. I think it's very appropriate because today is Halloween. So happy Halloween to everybody. But I think it's very appropriate because, you know, we're talking about ghosts and goblins and things today. And there's a horror film out there. And if you don't like horror films, I'm not going to recommend that you go watch it. But there's, it's probably not even what I would call horror, but it was scary for me because I'm a big fan of scary movies, called The Grudge. It had Joshua Jackson in it. But the premise was this haunting that kind of occurs. And in one of the scenes, they reveal that this girl that is haunting the main characters actually had attached herself to their back. And then they do kind of this montage flipping back through the scenes in the movie showing about how the main gentleman, who was Joshua Jackson, his character had like back problems and he was constantly readjusting, and then the symbolism that she and her energy was kind of hanging out there. And so we're talking about protecting your personal energy from other people. It can feel kind of like that. You can feel off. You can find that you're stretching. Not that I'm saying that you have like ghosts attached to you, but energy can be that strong and kind of impact what's happening to you. And so what do we do with that? I'm pretty sure that most of you have experienced when the idea that people drain you, or that feeling that's after that. And certainly if you have, I would love to hear your comments, hear your experiences in the comment, you know, about how these things kind of come alive for you and when and what certain areas or times in your life does that really kind of happen. But with that being said, you know, what do we do when we realize that people are having an impact on us. Our energy levels are low. How do we protect that? And how do we make sure that it doesn't linger for too long, that it starts to have those negative impacts that I was hinting at? So there's 3 things that are there. As typical for anyone who knows me and is talking to me, they will evolve in woo level as we get later on. But the first one is basically personal awareness. So one of the things that I was taught very early on as I was trying to protect my boundaries is it's really important to be aware of how it feels to be in your own body, and what is your actual personal space before others start invading that. And whether that's doing a personal self-awareness check before you enter a space with a large amount of people. So for me, before I do a speaking engagement, I have to find a place to have quiet and stillness to just basically do an internal check to say, here's how I'm currently feeling before potentially any other energies come in contact with it. This is why I believe meditation practices are so effective in the morning, because you get to take that moment of stillness that allows you to really kind of hone in and understand where you are and check in before other things start to impact it, whether it's children or spouses or friends or coworkers. You know, being able to separate between the two, I think, is really, really important. Also, when you're able to make that separation, then you're able to know very quickly when an energy is not yours, and basically be able to shut it down and recognize that it's not yours and let it go. Now, the second step comes into play because sometimes some energies are not that quick to be able to put a boundary up and say, that's not my energy and I just want to let it go. So there's some practices that are typically visualization exercises that I found that allow you to take it one step further. The second one is, it's called cutting cords. It's how it's popularly put out there. And if you Google it, you'll find this whole idea about cutting cords. But really what it is basically visually bringing awareness to your body and seeing the energy of others almost attached to you like cords, like almost feeling like they're being connected to you. So almost like that image that I was drawing about from the scary the scary movie of this woman riding on this person's back. This is kind of that same kind of concept. You would feel that energy there. And visually, you basically imagine scissors going around you and snipping the cords and disconnecting them and returning the energies to wherever they came from. I personally think this is a great practice. I do this actually in the shower, just closing my eyes, and just appreciating for how my body feels in that moment and doing a quick check. And then if I do feel any kind of energy ties, I do visualize them as cords that are being attached and just taking scissors and kind of slicing them from my body. So it's a visual meditative practice that's intuitively driven, because when we're talking about energy, most of this is all intuitively driven. It's not these tangible things that we're dealing with. And the last one that I want to leave you with is called the light shower. So it's very, very nice transition, because I was talking about little shower as a place to do that initial practice. But for this one, what it is, it's a visual technique where you actually imagine that you are taking a shower with a bright light that is surrounding you. I usually coach people when we do meditations and exercises that in situations where you feel a bright light that's almost like sunlight, it usually is a signal of some sort of calling or greater purpose that's trying to pull through. But I always see that as a huge symbol of what we're meant to be or who we're meant to be. And so I think it's really beautiful to go back to this visualization kind of concept of this bright light shining over us and showering us with this light that returns us back to our original kind of state. So I didn't mention the 3 steps we were going to increase in the woo level. But really, it doesn't matter about that. It matters whatever most kind of resonates with you and your comfort level. If you're a very visual person, the light shower might be what you gravitate towards. If you're someone who really is rushed like me in the morning and your moment of stillness is really in the shower, that's the only time that you get alone because of kids and family or whatever, maybe that's when you really want to take the time to do the cord cutting. Or you can do the light shower in the shower. Same thing. And then the other one, or maybe you're not ready for those and you're just working on awareness and really trying to identify what it feels like for you to be in your own body before other people kind of come into play. And that can sometimes be very hard to do if you've not done it for several years, especially if you're someone who's very sensitive to energy. So if you're someone who knows, like as soon as I said, do people drain you? You're like, oh my gosh, yes, they do. They totally do. If you're someone that's like, sometimes, these exercises really help. But if you're someone that's like, wow, people really do drain me all the time, then it might be difficult for you to have that awareness and separate, because you might be carrying a lot of energies around with you, especially if for so long you have felt off or not like yourself, or you remember way back in the day how you used to be and you don't understand what has happened. And if you're someone who likes to help others and be in service of others. And so energy is really, really important, especially your personal. This is a self-care kind of practice. And if you don't pay attention to it, I was hinting at, you feel off, you feel weak, your immune system can be down. It basically puts us in a place where we can't perform and do what we want to do. And here at Leadership Arts Associates, we're all about empowering passionate professionals and those who have lost their passion or are lacking their passion, bringing that back into play. And that's why I'm so passionate about energy, because it's a huge piece. And especially passionate professionals who find it dwindling, or they're just tired. And usually they're tired because they don't have mechanisms in place to protect their personal energy. And that's me included. Like, I'm learning this lesson as well. Like I said, just went through 3 weeks, 6 speaking engagements, and I was off, and I had to go do something to help restore my energy. I actually went and met with a practitioner to help me, because I could not tell the difference in the energies, so my personal little practices were not enough. So those are my little words of wisdom for this Work Love Wednesday on protecting your personal energy. But I would love to hear your thoughts. What happens when people drain you? How does it feel? Which of these practices do you see yourselves using, or do you have any other kind of questions? And then, on top of that, if you were someone who is sensitive and have found other techniques, share those too. I would love to hear them, because like I said, I'm still learning. But let's share, make that, let's share the wisdom. Let's get that out there, because this is a big self-care practice that we all need. So have an incredible Wednesday. I will talk to you next week. See ya.